My neighbor set off fireworks every weekend. My dog started shaking every time the sun went down. I begged him to stop. He said, "Get rid of the dog." That night, I walked my dog past his house and saw what he left out in the open. He won't see it again. I bought my house in a quiet neighborhood just outside Chattanooga. It's the kind of place with wide streets, old trees, and people who wave when they drive by. I moved here for the calm. After years of apartment noise, this felt like peace. My dog Rufus has been with me for almost 10 years.
He's older now.
Slower. He still tries to chase squirrels but gets winded after a few feet. He sleeps a lot and stays close.
He's not just a dog.
He's my last connection to the life I had before everything went sideways. If you've had a dog that long, you get it. Then the Mitchells moved in next door. From the second week, I knew they were going to be a problem. He had this lifted Dodge Ram that he'd rev every morning before work. Music blasting from the garage day and night. And fireworks. I mean real ones. Not just little pops. I'm talking about the kind that make you duck even when you know they're legal. He set them off almost every weekend. Not for holidays. Not even for special occasions. Just because he felt like it. Rufus lost it every single time. He'd run to the bathroom, curl up behind the toilet.
Shake. Whine.
One night, he even had an accident in the hallway. He's never done that before. I started closing the windows, turning on fans, even tried some vet-prescribed calming chews. Nothing helped. After 3 weekends of this, I finally went over there. I didn't go angry. I just wanted to talk. He opened the door shirtless, holding a beer. He had that kind of permanent smirk on his face that makes you want to turn around before you even say anything. "Hey," I started. "I'm your neighbor from next door. I just wanted to ask, could you maybe tone down the fireworks a little? My dog's having a hard time. He's older, gets real scared." He took a sip from his beer while staring at me. Didn't say a word for a few seconds. Then he finally muttered, "Get rid of the dog."
Just like that. No emotion.
No care. Not even a joke. Like my dog was garbage to toss out. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and walked away. But I was shaking. Not from fear. From rage. That night, I couldn't sleep. Rufus was already pacing when the first boom hit around 9:15. He crawled under the bed, breathing hard. I sat on the floor next to him, thinking about that smug face. Those stupid words. Around 10:30, when things had calmed down, I took Rufus on our usual walk. We always do the same loop, down our street, around the block, and back. His truck was gone. Probably out buying more fireworks or beer. That's when I saw it. Right on the edge of his driveway, half in the grass, half on the concrete, was a big red toolbox. I know tools. I grew up in a mechanic's house. This was one of those solid steel ones, wide, deep drawers, the kind that hold everything. I could see sockets, screwdrivers, pliers, even some electronic gear poking out. And on top of the whole thing was a drone controller. One of those expensive ones. And it was just sitting there. No lock. No chain. No cover. No camera pointing at it. I stood there for a long time, my hand resting on Rufus' leash. No one was around. The street was dead. Porch lights off. Just the hum of a few air conditioners and cicadas in the distance. I didn't take anything that night. But I didn't sleep either. Because I had a plan forming. And I knew exactly what I was going to do. The next morning, I acted like it was just another day. Took Rufus out early, made coffee, sat on the porch. But inside, I was already moving pieces. I work part-time at a hardware supply warehouse. I know what tool brands sell, what things go for on resale. I also know how careless people can be with expensive stuff when they think they own the whole street. That toolbox had at least $1,500 worth of gear in it. Probably more if I opened every drawer. And that drone controller? Looked like a DJI, which alone could be over $1,000 if it was the right model. But this wasn't about the money. I waited. For 2 more weekends, I watched him. He kept leaving that stuff out. Sometimes he'd even roll the toolbox into the driveway in the afternoon, start working on his truck, then just walk off and leave it when he went in to eat or drink or whatever. like the world owed him safety. Fireworks continued like clockwork. Friday night, Saturday night, sometimes both. Rufus was getting worse. I had to sit with him in the bathtub, holding him while he shook. I called animal control. They said unless it was after 11 p.m. There wasn't much they could do unless someone was injured. Cops? They didn't show up once. So one night, I waited until the Mitchells were gone. Around 8 p.m., I saw the truck peel out of the driveway. His wife or girlfriend, whatever she was, usually went with him. They never stayed home after the fireworks started. I think they liked to set them off and leave so they didn't have to hear it. I gave it 30 minutes. Then I walked over. The toolbox was out again. Same spot. Same setup. Except this time, I brought gloves, a rolling dolly, and a flatbed from my shed. I worked fast.
Quiet.
It was heavy, but I knew how to move it without dragging. Took 2 trips. First the toolbox, then the drone gear. Hauled it through my back gate and into the old storm shelter behind my garage. Locked it. Covered it with a tarp.
Done.
No one saw me. Not even Rufus, who was asleep on the back porch under a blanket. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Next day, chaos. I heard him yelling before 9 a.m. Where the hell? Where's my stuff? He stormed up and down the driveway, checked behind his truck, behind the garage, even knocked on 2 of our other neighbors' doors. I stayed inside. Curtains drawn. Kept Rufus close. Later, I saw him talking to the guy across the street, waving his arms like a lunatic. Cops showed up around noon. Took a statement. They walked up and down the block. One of them knocked on my door. "Hey, did you happen to see anything last night?" he asked. "No, officer. I was inside most of the night. My dog's real scared of loud noises. We've been keeping to ourselves lately." He nodded. "Yeah, we've gotten a few complaints about fireworks." Same guy.
Yeah.
But I figured it wasn't worth the trouble. He just said, "We'll look into it," and walked off. For a week, he didn't light anything. Not a single firecracker. Maybe he thought someone was warning him. Maybe he was scared. But I wasn't done. The next Friday night, his truck was back. His music was loud again. He was drinking in the garage with 2 other guys. And right around 9:15, the first firework went off. Rufus yelped and ran under the bed. I stared out the window, watching the sky flash red and green. My hands started shaking. My jaw locked up.
He didn't learn a damn thing.
So I made a call. I knew someone who could help. Guy I used to work with at the warehouse, Travis. He got fired a while back for taking some expensive router bits, but he knew how to make things disappear fast. We hadn't talked in over a year, but I still had his number. I didn't give him details. Just said I had a set of tools and electronics, and I needed them gone for cash. No questions, fast sale. He showed up that Sunday afternoon in a van that smelled like gas and body spray. I opened the storm shelter, showed him the hall. His eyes went wide. "Man, this is real good stuff. Where'd you get all this?"
Doesn't matter, I said.
"Can you move it or not?" He nodded. "I know a guy who owns a pawn shop 2 towns over. He won't ask." We loaded it up. Travis handed me $800 in cash that night. Said he'd bring the rest after the sale. I didn't care if he did or not. Monday morning, Mitchell was back out pacing his driveway. I guess he thought the cops would find something by now. He put up a handwritten sign on a wooden post that said, "Reward for return of toolbox." No questions asked. It was nailed in the grass near the sidewalk. The man was unraveling. I could see it. But then things got worse. Thursday, I came home from work and there was a notice stuck to my front door. It was from animal control. A complaint had been filed. Someone claimed my dog was aggressive and uncontrolled. Said he barked all night and was dangerous to children. Rufus, who hasn't barked more than twice in a day since I've had him. Who barely gets up anymore without a stretch. I walked straight to the Mitchell's house. I didn't even knock. Just stood at the edge of their yard until he came out. "You called animal control on my dog?" I asked. He smirked, arms crossed. "Hey, maybe it's time you did get rid of him." I nodded slowly. said nothing, walked back home. Inside, Rufus looked up at me with those tired eyes. I sat on the floor next to him. "We're not done," I whispered. "I promise you." That night, I opened a new email account. I sent an anonymous tip to the local ATF field office. I told them someone in our neighborhood was lighting commercial-grade fireworks every weekend, that he was selling them out of his garage, that he had drones and possibly unlicensed explosives. I included his address. I attached a photo I'd taken from my upstairs window of one of the bigger fireworks, the kind that looked like something out of a stadium show. He'd left the packaging in his trash, and I had snapped the photo 2 weeks earlier. Then I waited. They came on a Saturday. 2 black SUVs and an unmarked sedan pulled up in front of the Mitchell's house just after noon. It wasn't sirens and flashbangs like on TV. It was quiet, precise. One guy stood near the driveway. The rest walked straight to the front door. I watched from inside, blinds cracked just enough to see. Mitchell answered. I could see his posture change. He started pointing down the street, waving his arms again. But they didn't care. One of the agents showed a badge, stepped inside. 15 minutes later, they were in his garage, pulling out boxes, taking photos. One guy pulled open a plastic bin and held up something wrapped in foil. Another was photographing what looked like a half-used case of fireworks shoved under a tarp behind his mower. No arrest. Not yet. But they left with several things. One of them walked out carrying a laptop. The next week was pure silence. No music.
No fireworks. No scouting.
It was like the whole house had gone still. But then something changed. Tuesday afternoon, I got home from work and found my trash can tipped over on the curb. Lid missing.
Just gone.
No one else's was like that. Wednesday, my back gate was wide open. Rufus never leaves the yard. But still, it scared the hell out of me. Thursday morning, someone keyed the side of my truck.
Deep.
Across the driver's side. For long lines, all the way across the paint. I knew it was him, but I had no proof.
No cameras.
Nothing I could bring to anyone. So I got a camera. I bought 2 trail cams. Cheap, simple, motion-activated. One I hid in a birdhouse near the fence line. The other I zip-tied under the porch roof, angled just enough to see the driveway. That weekend, nothing happened. But Sunday night, around 11:43 p.m., the porch cam caught a shape. A person, hoodie, walking up my drive holding something. He stood near my truck, looked around, then turned and walked toward my mailbox. He pulled something out of his pocket, shoved it inside. The video was grainy. No clear face. But I recognized the way he stood. That wide-legged, cocky stance. It was him. Next morning, I opened the mailbox. Inside was a single piece of paper. It had no name, no return address, just a photo. A printed still frame from my own trail cam. Me, dragging the toolbox across the yard. He knew. I stared at that photo for a long time. He could have gone to the cops. He didn't. That meant one thing. He wanted leverage.
Power.
This wasn't about the tools anymore. It was about making me afraid. For the next few days, I didn't sleep much. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. But nothing came. No knocks. No new notes. Just silence. Then one night, I came home from work and Rufus wasn't at the door. He always waits by the door when he hears my truck. Always. I ran through the house. Living room.
Bedroom. Kitchen.
Nothing. I found him in the backyard. He was just standing there by the gate, trembling, breathing hard. The latch was open again. Not broken. Just lifted. If I'd gotten home 5 minutes later, he might have been gone. That night, I brought him inside, locked every door, and sat at the kitchen table with the lights off. I kept thinking about the note. That photo. The open gate. The keyed truck. The fireworks. All of it. This wasn't just petty noise anymore. It wasn't even about revenge. He wanted to destroy what mattered to me. Quietly.
Slowly.
So I made one final move. I printed the still frame of him from my trail cam, standing in my truck, right before he walked to the mailbox. I made 5 copies. I put one in his own mailbox. Taped another to his garage door. slipped the rest under his windshield wipers front and back. Then I waited. The next few days were dead quiet. His truck didn't move. No garage parties.
No fireworks.
I saw him once, smoking on the porch, staring at my house like he was trying to figure something out. But then he started cleaning up. Little by little. He pulled everything out of his garage, hauled stuff to the curb. One night I saw him hosing the whole thing down like he was trying to erase something. The next weekend he was gone. Truck.
Speakers. Tools.
The whole house looked abandoned.
No lights, no noise.
Just an empty driveway and a dead porch light. Neighbors said he moved. Left in the middle of the night. But he didn't take everything. A week after he left, I found his drone controller tucked behind my trash bin, like he'd thrown it there in a hurry or wanted me to find it. I didn't touch it,
Just stared at it for a long time.
Rufus sat next to me, calm for once, the sun setting without a single boom in the sky. And I realized something I hadn't let myself admit until then. I hadn't done it just to protect my dog. I did it because some people don't stop until they think they've broken you. And I needed him to know I wasn't breakable. Not anymore.